the saga of Estée Lauder Double Wear, take 2. Okay, let's get that hair pushed back from the face. We got the Rob Marani's iced coffee ready to roll. Let's hit it. The foundation in question is Estée Lauder's Double Wear, and the one big demographic I completely forgot to include because it does not include me, I have normal/dry skin, are those with oily skin who tend to absolutely love this foundation. Now stay tuned till the end of this video. It's not very long and we're going to learn things the entire way, and I'm going to talk about at the end whether I think this is a safe blind buy, meaning something to buy that you haven't tried before. So we'll get to that at the very end. And in the meantime, I am a writer. I have a newsletter where I talk about stuff like this. It's completely free to sign up. I'll link it up in all the places you find links, including an article about how to get more Sephora samples. For example, you can read that right now. You don't even have to download it. So the task at hand right now for me is that I'm going to try and replicate oily skin and show you what it looks like, because this product is very, very loved by the oily skin foundation loving community. First, I'm going in with my Cicaplus Balm B5. Love this moisturizer. I think it's a great dupe for Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I put on way more than I normally would. You really don't need a lot of that particular moisturizer. I'm going to make, or I've made, a video about the white cast problem that happens with this particular moisturizer. So go ahead and either subscribe so you don't miss that, or go and watch it now. I'm not sure at what point you're coming into this video, but you'll be interested. This is like a viral moisturizer, but has a major problem with leaving like a white face behind. While it sort of absorbs a little bit, I'm going to get my drop of Bow Laboratories. This is a Canadian product. This is their facial oil. I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny amount of this to sort of replicate, not dry skin, but rather to replicate oily skin. And I know this is not exactly the same as having oily skin, because here's the thing. I'm going to put on this oil. My face is not going to make a lot more oil through the day, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. If you actually have oily skin, obviously your face just keeps making oil the entire day, which is such a challenge, right? That's why it's hard to find a really good performing foundation. So I've let that sink in for a couple minutes. What I like to do next is I like to drop this a little bit on my hand and apply with my fingers. That way it spreads more and I get more bang for my buck, because this stuff, if you saw that first video that I made, it's expensive. Here we are. I am shade 2C3 Fresco, which is not actually the right shade for me. This has too many rosy tones in it, but it's pretty good. Personally, I dot it on. So I am now applying this foundation. I already put a really thin first layer on, and I'm just going to layer it. That's how I like to do it. This foundation has been around since 1997. Back then, Elizabeth Hurley, the model/actor, was the face of this. For my money, this is a very, very matte foundation. One of the best things about it is that it has a full 55 shades. That is so many, and that is definitely one thing that Estée Lauder is doing right now. If you saw that video that I made about this, the number one thing that I think that sucks about it is that it does not come with a pump. Why doesn't it come with a pump? It's got this crazy screw cap, and you got to purchase the pump separately, and the pump is reusable, but still, why are we purchasing? Just put a pump on the top, right? We're already paying a luxury price. Stop nickel and diming us for another silly pump to go on top. Just package it properly, because a little goes a long way. So you will have this actually for a long time. So therefore, it's in your best interest not to be putting your fingers all over the top of it if you can avoid doing that. Got this blue vein, and it covers it up so, so well. The coverage on this foundation is amazing. I'm not going to fault it for that. But we're going to look at, does it transfer? We're going to look at how oily it is compared to other foundations. So keep watching. If you have, let me straighten you guys out. If you have oily skin, I'm going to argue that this foundation looks absolutely beautiful and maybe is worth the money. Now, I have a dupe that I like also in that video that I will link up at the end. That's by Revlon. It is $30 cheaper. That's a lot cheaper. Where I live, this is $52. This stuff is $52 where I live, and the Revlon is $30 cheaper. And for me and my type of skin, it actually works better than this. I find this usually too mattifying, but you can see here how you have just this nice amount of glow coming through if you have oilier skin. Let me go and put on the rest of my makeup. I'll be back in a jiffy. I'll put on some clothes, and I'll find a white shirt in my cupboard that we're gonna do a transfer test on. Here we are, quick 5-minute makeup look. This shade is a little bit too light for me, which is, it suits me a bit better in the winter when I'm a little bit paler. But my problem still persists with this, which is that there's a bit of an oxidization issue for me with this particular shade in this foundation. And other people have found this to be the case as well. But if you can match that oxidated color to your skin tone, you might really like this foundation. For me, it's just an okay because I found a better dupe. But as we said, if you're an oily girly, it might become your holy grail. Okay, I found a white shirt here, so we're gonna just put this on over and see if we get any kind of transfer going on. I believe that we do, having worn this shirt and having worn this foundation, but we'll just have a look. Some people it doesn't transfer on. For me, I guess whatever's going on, maybe I'm not setting it with powder. I don't like to set this one with powder. I found it already too matte looking. But we'll just have a look if on its own it transfers or not. Here we go. Okay, this is not too tight, but it is a bit tight going on. Okay, so I wore black underneath this so that we would have more of a contrast. And I will show you, it does transfer just a little bit. That's not too bad. All foundations for me transfer. This is nothing bad. It doesn't mean anything bad or good about this particular one. This is just how it is for me. Probably because I don't lock it in place with anything after I apply it. Here's a closer look at the transferring. It's pretty minimal. So I found this TikTok for us to watch together. This is a test of Estee Lauder's Double Wear. And, well, we'll talk about this in a second. Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Foundation. And I think a Morphe on the end. Let's have a look. Trying an oil test on my favorite foundation. Okay. This is by Laura Bowie. So she's trying these 3 you can see here, and she's waiting 3 hours, 6 hours. I love how she put the text on the screen, 8 hours. No oil in the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Not much from the Charlotte Tilbury, and the Morphe's got a lot of oil in it. So that was a kind of a cute little test. Notice, though, that she's got the pump on the Estee Lauder foundation. She purchased that pump. It doesn't come with a pump. Big knock for me. big knock for me against this product. Now, the other sort of embedded fallacy of this particular TikTok video is that the Estee Lauder Double Wear, if you didn't know this, is actually an oil-free foundation. So how much oil would I expect to have seen come out of it? Absolutely zero, because it doesn't have any oil in it. I would take you outside for a little bit of an outdoor wear test. You can have a look. This is a bit later the same day of filming. 2 things that I completely forgot to mention. 1, this foundation performs really well in humid climates. I don't live in a humid climate. This is Toronto, Canada, but we get humid summers and we get very, very dry winters. So in the winter, I find this actually too drying. Our climate is a little bit similar to New York City, a little bit colder and harsher. So for me, I have to wear this foundation in the summer. The other little factoid you might find interesting is this is the #1 top selling foundation in the United States. Not just for the brand Estee Lauder, but just overall, it's #1. Now let's talk about the pros, the cons of Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation and whether I think it's a safe blind buy. The pros, I think, are pretty obvious. You can see it here. This is a beautiful foundation that you can make much more luminous. It will be luminous if you have oily skin. If you don't have oily skin, you can cheat it and make it more luminous. Or if you're using like a lot of moisturizer, you're using your sort of Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, or what I suggest to use instead, the La Roche-Posay Cicapace Balm B5. I don't want to say I'm the OG reviewer of this, but 5 years ago, I made a video about this before it became viral on TikTok, before everybody was talking about it and sweeping it off the shelves. If you have a lot of moisturizer or you want to use a facial oil or your skin is already oily, this could be an absolutely beautiful foundation. Cons, it oxidizes. If just on their face value, you don't like foundations that oxidize and that whole thing of it changing a different shade is not for you, then perhaps this is not the foundation for you. The other con, again, and I don't want to keep harping on it, is that it really should come with a pump and it has a screw top, but you can buy a pump. I really want Estee Lauder to hear this message. Just put the pump on it for us already. It's just not right what you're doing. Those pumps cost nothing. You can get them at the drugstore foundations that cost $30 less than this. I don't care about your aesthetics. I don't care what the excuses you're using for not having it. It's not a good excuse. Put the pump on. It's the year 2023 already. The other huge pro is that it's got those 55 shades. I mean, there's something for everyone. If you do look on YouTube, you'll see people of every skin tone trying this out. And I love that for us. Is this a safe blind buy? Is this a safe product just to sort of find your match on foundation.com or like using Sephora's foundation tool and just purchasing it? Maybe. Hear me out. If you have dry skin, I don't think it is safe blind buy. If you have acne prone skin, from what I'm reading, is not a safe blind buy because it clogs some people's pores. And of course, that's not what you want if you have acne. If you just have straight up non-problematic but oily skin, yes, I think that this could probably be a pretty safe blind buy for you. There's those 55 shades, so you're probably going to nail your shade pretty well. Are you going to like the coverage? Yes, if you like a soft matte, because it will look soft matte on you if you're very oily. If you're dry / normal like me, you might get this ultra matte 90s no dimensional look that is just not, it's not for me. I mean, maybe you're into that 90s ultra matte look. I'm not. So it depends, I guess is the answer. But if you have just straight up oily skin, I think you're going to like it. If you have dry, normal skin, not a safe blind buy. If you have acne prone skin or active acne, I just don't know. Maybe test it out first on a patch. If you liked this video, I'm going to put up some other ones here for you to check out. I also have one on the best drugstore mascara you've never heard of. Go ahead and watch that next.